No hospital, no doctor, no pain medication, no formula, no crib, no baby monitor. And yet ancient mothers raised children successfully for 2 million years, in one of the most dangerous environments in human history. And new research suggests they may have been better at it than we are today. Let's start with something nobody talks about: how ancient women actually gave birth. Ancient women did not give birth alone. This is one of the most important things to understand about prehistoric childbirth. Childbirth in prehistoric times was a community event. Other women gathered. They helped. They supported. They guided. Anthropologists believe that the role of birth attendant, other women helping during labor, is one of the oldest social roles in human history. Archaeological evidence shows that human childbirth has always been more difficult than that of other primates, because our babies are born with unusually large heads relative to the birth canal. This difficulty meant that human mothers needed help from other humans during birth, more than any other species on Earth. Scientists believe this is actually one of the reasons humans became so deeply social, because survival during childbirth depended on community. Now let's talk about feeding, because how ancient mothers fed their babies tells us something extraordinary about the bond between mother and child. Ancient mothers breastfed their children for far longer than modern mothers typically do. Anthropologists studying hunter-gatherer societies found that breastfeeding typically continued until the child was 2 to 4 years old. This extended nursing did several things. It provided nutrition, it provided immunity, and it naturally spaced out pregnancies by suppressing ovulation. Ancient mothers also carried their babies almost constantly on their bodies, all day. No crib, no separate room, no putting the baby down and walking away. Modern research shows that this constant physical contact, called skin-to-skin contact, regulates the baby's temperature, heartbeat, and stress hormones. Ancient mothers were doing instinctively what modern neonatal units now deliberately recreate. Ancient mothers also responded immediately to every cry. Every single time. There was no concept of letting them cry it out in prehistoric parenting. A crying baby in the wild meant danger. Every cry was answered. Modern psychologists now believe this responsive parenting style, answering every cry promptly, actually helps children develop stronger emotional regulation as they grow. Now let's talk about something that completely changes how we think about ancient childhood: the concept of alloparenting. Alloparenting means the child was raised not just by its mother, but by the entire community. Grandmothers played a critical role. Scientists even developed something called the grandmother hypothesis to explain it. The grandmother hypothesis proposes that human women live far longer than their reproductive years, specifically because grandmothers improved the survival chances of their grandchildren. Grandmothers gathered food, watched children, passed down knowledge. Their presence was so valuable that evolution extended women's lifespans specifically to keep them around. Other women in the tribe also helped raise each other's children freely, without being asked. Studies of modern hunter-gatherer societies show that a child has contact with an average of 10 different caregiving adults every single day. 10 adults investing in one child's development every day. Compare that to a modern child who may spend most of their day with only 1 or 2 adults, or alone. Now let's talk about how ancient children actually learned, because this is where it gets truly fascinating. Ancient children learned entirely through observation and doing. There were no lessons, no classrooms, no curriculum. By watching their mothers and the other adults around them, ancient children absorbed survival skills, plant knowledge, tool making, and social behavior simultaneously. Play was not separate from learning. Play was how ancient children practiced everything they needed to survive. Ancient children played with miniature tools. They practiced hunting. They learned to identify plants, all through play. Modern developmental psychologists now recognize this as the most effective way for young children to learn. Play-based learning. Ancient children lived it every day. Now let's talk about what the archaeology actually shows us about ancient mothers. For a long time, archaeologists assumed infant mortality in prehistoric times was extraordinarily high, around 40%. But new research from the Australian National University completely challenged this assumption. Researcher Claire McFadden found that burial samples from the last 10,000 years do not actually support high infant mortality rates. Instead, the large number of infant burials reflects a high degree of fertility, meaning ancient mothers were having many babies and raising them successfully. Ancient mothers were far more capable and skilled at raising children than we ever gave them credit for. They had no books, no experts, no internet forums to ask for advice. What they had was something modern parents have largely lost: a village. Every woman around her had raised children. Every elder had knowledge to share. Every member of the tribe had a role in the child's life. The old saying, "It takes a village to raise a child," is not a modern idea. It is a description of exactly how humans raised children for 2 million years. Cave women did not raise children alone. They raised them together. In the open air, close to the earth, surrounded by people who knew them and loved them. With no books to tell them what to do, they did what humans have always done best. They paid attention, they responded, they stayed close. And the children they raised survived long enough for every single one of us to be here today.